Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to our sessions. There's been a lot that has been taking place, from the previous gift that we were speaking on. There has been a lot of changes. There's been a lot of things that have taken place. The Lord has been speaking. The Lord has been doing. The Lord has been shifting a lot of things in these past few months. I would say past 3 months, there's just been back to back of things changing, shifting, God speaking every single day. There is something that, as I've said before in the previous gift, and I think from the time that I spoke on the gift of prophecy, there's a lot that has been taking place in terms of world events, a lot of things taking place in politics, a lot of things taking place in terms of natural disasters. Yes, the Lord is speaking in many different ways. I think what is really important is not just that the Lord is speaking, but what is important is, are we actually listening? Are we hearing what God is actually saying to us? Because there's a lot of things that He's been saying, not just to the world, but also to the church and also to us as individuals. There's a lot of judgments, as I've been saying over a long time. Pretty much this year, I've been speaking on judgments coming up, and that the Lord is going to be doing a lot of work to vindicate His children and to vindicate His word, to vindicate basically the right institutes and everything that I've pretty much been speaking about, and that He's bringing down a lot of things and destroying a lot of systems, destroying a lot of things that haven't been there but were not supposed to be there. They've been oppressing, they've been destroying, they have been doing a lot of things that were quite harmful to society and quite harmful to us people, and even to family units. The Lord is tackling family dysfunction, and when He's tackling, as He's tackling family dysfunction, He's also tackling friendship dysfunction, ministry dysfunction. There's a lot of things that He is speaking on and He is tackling in this season. And if you see a lot of havoc going on, it's God basically rearranging things. And in the midst of all that rearrangement, the bottom line of all of that is actually revival. And it's been something that's been said over and over and over, but people have had their idea of what revival was going to look like. And I'm not going to lie, I also had my own idea of what revival would look like. But revival in this time is coming after judgments. Judgments are being passed, and revival is coming in the midst of that. You understand, people are being revived. The things that used to oppress them, the things that were pulling down the forerunners, the people who have been fighting the good fight of faith, and now the chains are being released off them and they're beginning to run. And a lot of people who have been oppressed, who have not been able to move at all, God is removing those boundaries, and people are beginning to rise up and are beginning to awaken to the things that have been taking place and are now more able to fight, in other words. And because of that, revival has come. You see, this is why I think I'd been posting some shorts in the midst of all of these, and you can see that in between I've been posting some short posts on wolves in sheep's clothing, and in that series I spoke on the judgments. I spoke on judgments of God, and why there has to be judgments before before the end of time, before the great judgment, right? And I speak a lot on that, and I think I've been posting quite a number of things on that. If you want, you can go back on this, the part 2 series called Wolves in Sheep's Clothing. You will see that I've been speaking on judgments. Now, the judgments are not just only on individuals or institutes or organizations, it's also on nations. There's a lot of things that are taking place in nations, and God is calling his people back. He's calling nations back to him, not just only groups of people or individuals, but he's doing it on a wide scale. And if judgments is the way to go, then judgments is the way to go. As I spoke before, for God to get to a place of judging and meting out his wrath, it's not because that's why he wants or that was his end goal, but rather it is almost like that is the only way to reach certain people. It's the only way to reach certain individuals. It's the only way to reach certain nations or certain families, and to completely break people out of cycles and systems that they kept trying to run out of or trying to run away from. Let me give an example, right? If you've been in a family, and in that family there's just dysfunction in that family. Whichever way you turn, there's dysfunction, whether it's your aunts, uncles, grandmas, grandpas, whoever you look to, you can see the dysfunction is running deep, right? And there are systems that keep this dysfunction going. And within those systems, there are also what I call slave workers. Just much like the Israelites who were enslaved in Egypt, they were systems that were in place to keep them as slaves. And not only that, there were also slave masters who kept them in place, who would pull them back into the system if they ever tried to come out. So that's the same thing with here. We've got families in which there's so much dysfunction to the point that there are systems that run to keep the dysfunction going. And the slave masters, meaning whether those slave masters are now in the physical, meaning certain family members that are trying to keep the dysfunction going to save themselves, maybe, or they lie anyway to themselves that it's to save themselves, or because they feel it is their duty. They themselves were oppressed, and so they feel that everybody else should be in the same boat. It's the same thing. And not only are they family members, those family members are probably being tormented by the spirits that govern those that dysfunction, the familiar spirits that run in that family, you see. So because they're being tormented by those spirits, they can't help themselves. They have to do something. They have to make sure they are following what that spirit is that's tormenting them is telling them to do. And for some of them, they are even being spoken to by familiar spirits, and they believe that it is their work. They believe it's their assignment, and yet that's actually a familiar spirit speaking to them and holding everybody else hostage through them. So as I said, there's a lot of things going on there, and I truly believe that God is going to change. God is already changing and shifting a lot of things. I believe that even the dysfunction that is happening in organizations, and it is going to come out, and God is addressing those things, and he wants those things to be purged out, so that the organizations and systems that shall come in place will be those that are catered toward moving according to his spirit, or moving according to his word. Okay, his word needs to be honored. His word needs to be honored whichever workplace. Right now I've got somebody who's banging upstairs, and they be doing this all day, all night. But when it comes to the word is like a hammer. It breaks asunder everything. It breaks chains. It breaks even the most stubborn of rocks. Okay, and so even if there are entities or spirits or people that are being used that don't even know that they're being used, right? That are coming after you and that seem to be mocking, tormenting, afflicting you for no apparent reason, or it will seem like it's no apparent reason, you will know that it's because of the word that you're carrying, and this is because of what you're speaking. That is why they are fighting the way they are fighting. Some of these people that are used don't even know they're being used. They just feel a certain anger and resentment towards you for no good reason. If they were to try to investigate why they actually hate you or have some sort of resentment or bitterness towards you, you wouldn't even understand. They wouldn't even understand it themselves. Why? Because it's not them, it's the spirit that's operating in them. They have an open door, and the spirit has used that open door to use them and to make them do things that that they themselves don't even understand. So it's, to a certain degree, you have to have that understanding that whenever you're doing the work of God, there's going to be resistance. Whichever way it is, there's going to be resistance. And in this time, when it comes to the spirit, the previous gift I've spoken about, the gift of discernment, there are going to be times in which you're going to do things that people will not understand. People do not understand. They will not understand you. They won't understand why you're doing certain things. But trust and believe that the Lord knows. Trust and believe that the Spirit knows and understands. Sometimes it is not for us to always know why certain things have to be a certain way, but eventually you will know. God will show you the reasons behind certain things that had taken place and why they had to take place. And sometimes the kind of revelations you get, they'll be shocking. You'll be surprised, because these are things that you might not have discerned at that moment. You might have felt it but not discerned fully, or would not have wanted to fully discern. But then when the Lord opens your eyes to the revelations, trust and believe, you'll be shocked. God has these ways of doing things. Sometimes when we're doing the work of God and we're doing things, we look foolish in the eyes of men. But when the time of revelation comes and the time of vindication comes, that's when it is more evident why things had to go the way they were, why things had to go the way they did, and why you had to do the things that He told you to do. And so, yeah, you might seem foolish, and for a while it might have seemed like, yes, you were being deceived, but the Lord always knows everything, and in due season He will reveal certain things to you. And just following His instruction also helps us to keep in step with Him. So even if people do see you as foolish, it's the Lord who is instructing you, who is ordering your footsteps. So if someone is ordering your footsteps, and they're not exactly telling you where you're going, but you trust them, right? It's not going to be you who knows where you're going, or it's not going to be you who knows why you are doing the things why you're being told, to do the things you're doing. You will just do them, trusting and believing that whatever the person is instructing you to do is doing it for your good. You see, so that's why you see a lot of people take Christians as weak, as foolish, as dumb, because, to be honest, it's not us that is ordering our footsteps. We don't exactly tell ourselves what to do. We discern, we move according to the Spirit, and we do whatever the Lord instructs for us to do, and regardless of how foolish that might seem. Okay, so we thank the Lord anyway.